It's Sunday, February 20th, 2011. I'm Kevin McShann, and this is the McShann Sports Beat Report.
Late in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 42, Plaxico Burress' go-ahead touchdown gave the Giants an improbable win over the previously undefeated Patriots. Not long after that remarkable win, you signed a $35 million contract. Where were you in your life at that point?
You can't write the script any better. It was probably the best year of my life. I just had a son, and you win a Super Bowl, and you get a contract. You're able to take care of your family, and do things that you always dreamed of and you wanted to do for yourself. And I couldn't have been in a better place in my life.
On the night of Friday, November 28, 2008, 10 months after the Giants' victory in the Super Bowl, Burress, along with teammates Antonio Pierce and Ahmad Bradshaw, went to the Latin Quarter nightclub on Manhattan's East Side.
I had my weapon with me, and it wasn't like I was trying to hide it, or I go into this place and go through the security. They know I have it. They pat me down and they say okay, and they let me in with it. So that just that
security at the Latin Quarter patted you down, felt the gun, you produced it, and they said, go right in.
Walked through the metal detector, let me in, and I'm maybe there for like maybe 5 minutes, and it's getting so crowded, everybody's coming over. Hey, how you doing? So the VIP today, I'm gonna take you upstairs so you can relax. Nobody will bother you. And I'm walking up the stairs, and I miss a step, and so my gun slides down my pants. So it's getting ready to hit the ground, so I don't want to hit the ground. So when it's sliding down my jeans, I go to stop it from hitting the ground. And I don't think you could do it in a million times that through your pants, you could try to stop it from hitting the ground, and my finger hit right on the trigger. It's like, what are the odds of that happening? And it's like, when it happens, I don't even realize that, I'm shot. I take 2 or 3 steps, I'm like, my pants was wet. I had on some Chuck Taylors, and I looked down, and the top of my shoe was red. And I looked at AP. And
Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, Antonio. And I'm like, yo, take me to the hospital. He's like, what's wrong? I was like,
nobody had heard the gunshot in the crowded club noise?
Nobody. I was like, take me to the hospital. And he was like, why? I say, I think I just shot myself. And he was like, no.
But there were reports that you were in the VIP room when it happened, but
I never even made it up to the VIP room.
You were walking up the stairs.
Walking up the stairs.
And of course, there were reports that you were wearing sweatpants.
No, I was wearing some black jeans. I had on a sweatshirt.
Why didn't you have a holster?
Bad judgment. First thing that went through my mind, I don't want to bleed to death, and I just want to see my family. Because when it happens, everything that I had did in my life, it flashed before my eyes. It was like, and I was like, I just want to see my family, because I didn't know if I was going to die or not.
You didn't think to yourself, this is a flesh wound, I'll be okay. You think maybe you've got the femur.
Yeah,
the femoral artery.
I was 2 millimeters from it. If I show you the MRIs and x-rays, you would not believe. I mean, this close
to the artery.
My artery, that close.
Burress says Antonio Pierce drove him to nearby New York Presbyterian Hospital, where he was admitted under the name Harris Smith. Why did you register under an alias?
I had nothing to do with that. How can I walk into a hospital and register my name under somebody else? I did not do that.
What happened?
They put me in there under somebody else's name because I'm a celebrity. That's what they do to protect you from the media or whatever's going on outside. I had nothing to do with that. I signed my name out, discharged, signed my name when I got in. I didn't even know that they put me in under somebody else's name.
What did the doctors tell you about your condition when you were admitted?
I didn't know the severity of it until the doctor told me that, it was a flesh wound. And, it was a 5 to 6 week injury. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be able to walk. I'm going to be able to, hopefully play again. And, I was lucky.
Second chances are given to those people who are truly remorseful for committing their acts of transgression and who truly intend to exhibit their acts of repentance through their actions rather than their words. For former New York Giant and Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver Plaxico Burress, his time in jail for attempted criminal possession of a weapon is almost complete, and his return into societal life is now upon us. Now the question is he a changed man after spending nearly 2 years in prison, and will he make a successful return back into the NFL? The NFL Total Access crew kicked around the subject on Monday.
The prison sentence for former Steelers and Giants wide receiver Plaxico Burress will come to an end June 6th. Burress was sentenced to 2 years in prison after accidentally shooting himself in the thigh at a New York nightclub. Burress's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, says Plaxico, quote, looks great and has been lifting weights and running 5 days a week, end quote. We welcome back Trevor Price along with Jamie Dukes and Solomon Wilcots. Trevor, let me start with you. Do you think that Plaxico Burress can make a successful return to the National Football League?
Absolutely. Because here's the thing. The National Football League is all about rigor mortis, basically. You have a finite number of reps in, you have a finite number of plays in, you have a finite number of games you can play. And for the last 3 years, Plaxico, for better terms, has been on IR. He's been on basic injury reserve. You call it whatever you want to, but when you've not taken those snaps and you've not taken that kind of wear and tear in your body, I don't care what age he is, the man is a professional National Football League receiver. So at the end of the day, it'll take him a little while to get back into it maybe, but absolutely I think he can resurrect his career and be the player he once was.
He'd probably be able to resurrect his career, but I'm not so sure he's going to hit the ground running and playing at the same level in 2011. And while he may be rested, he'll also be rusty. And I think all he needs to do is talk to Michael Vick. Mike Vick will tell you cannot improve as a football player while sitting in a jail cell. There's going to take some time for Plaxico Burress to get right. And I think the team that brings him in 2011 is going to have to be patient with him, because trying to press him back into action full go will lead to possible injury. And so it's going to take some time to shake off that rust and get back to where we once saw him when he helped the Giants win a Super Bowl.
And the key, I think, here, Solly, is fast twitch. That was the thing that when you go back and when you have Michael Vick, who was the perfect case and model, where, yeah, Mike was still probably running a 4.5, but that fast twitch muscle thing wasn't working for him when he first came out. And I think that Plaxico is probably going to have the same issues to deal with. Is the fast twitch is not going to be there initially, and then ultimately when he can get with a trainer, a true trainer, a track guy, somebody can help him work on that burst and acceleration, then he may be back for the 2012 season. I'm sure someone will probably give him an opportunity in 2011, but I think that's what it's going to take for him to get back to that old form. Because remember, he was a unique product in the fact that he's 6'5".
And keep in mind, Michael Vick was 28 when he returned to the National Football League. He's now 30. Plaxico Burress will be 34 in August.
ESPN's Jeremy Schaap continues his interview with Burress and questions him as to why he brought a loaded gun into the Latin Quarters nightclub and the impact his decision had on the Giants and their ability to repeat as Super Bowl champions.
There are some questions about what the Giants knew and when the Giants knew it.
They know what happened 3 or 4 minutes after I suffered a gunshot wound.
Did the Giants in any way attempt to kind of cover up what had happened?
No, not at all.
No. They didn't have anything to do with the false identity at the
They
hospital?
had nothing to do with anything.
When did it first dawn on you how serious the situation was?
I did not know how serious the situation was until I'm sitting at home on Sunday and I'm watching the Giants play Washington. And, it hits the airwaves that, what happened. I got a call from the Giants and it was like, you need to get a lawyer and turn yourself in. And I was like, it's a nightmare.
That Monday, the day Burress turned himself in, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg made his feelings about the case clear.
I think it'd be an outrage if we didn't prosecute to the fullest extent of the law, particularly people who live in the public domain, make their living because of their visibility. They are the role models for our kids. And if we don't prosecute to the fullest extent of the law them, I don't know who on earth we would. It makes a sham, a mockery of the law.
How do you think Mayor Bloomberg's stance affected public perception and the adjudication of the case?
My lawyer made a deal with the prosecution that I would go in and I would bail out at $10,000. The deal had already been done. So 3 or 4 minutes before I'm supposed to stand before the judge, Bloomberg goes on TV. My bail went from $10,000 to $250,000 in 3 minutes. And I remember standing there looking at my lawyer. He looked at me, and it was like, what just happened? And I remember looking at the bailiff, and I looked at him. He brought his eyes up, and we made eye contact. And he gave me that look. He was like, and that look was like, they sending you to jail. He didn't even have to say anything. I got in the car with my wife, and I was like, they're going to send me to jail.
What did you know about New York's gun laws?
At the time, I didn't know that carrying a weapon was a mandatory sentencing law. I didn't understand that carrying a gun in New York would get you 3.5 to 15 years. I think if I did know that, there was no way that I would have put myself in that situation.
How reckless a decision was it to carry that gun into a crowded nightclub?
I knew that I had the gun on me, and I stepped out of the car, and I was like, maybe I should leave it in the car. And I second-guessed myself right then. That decision right there got me to where I'm at right now.
Why, Plaxico? You're a millionaire. Why go anywhere where you would feel the need to bring a loaded weapon?
I've been playing professional sports for 9 years. I've had my house broken into twice. I've had my door kicked in. I mean, imagine getting ready to play a football game, and you're standing there and they're singing the national anthem, and somebody walks up to you and says somebody just broke into your house, and you're like, and you're going to play a football game. I mean,
that happened to you.
Yeah, when things like that happen to you, they take your privacy away. Like you feel like you're offended. You take your peace of mind away when things like that happen. And I'm not going around like pulling my gun out and robbing people and stealing. I'm not a criminal. I'm protecting Plaxico Burress. I mean, there's many ways to get around it, as far as hiring bodyguards or whatever you want to make of it. But if somebody wants to get you, they just gonna get you, bodyguard or not.
Burress said the message that NFL players are targets had been driven home in 2007 when Darren Williams of the Broncos and Sean Taylor of the Redskins were both shot to death. Even now, Burress wears a bracelet to honor Taylor, who'd been a close friend. 3 nights before Burress shot himself at the Latin Quarter, his teammate Steve Smith was held up at gunpoint outside his home in New Jersey.
I think when Steve Smith got robbed at gunpoint, like outside of his house and taken in his house and robbed, he didn't even know if he was going to live that night. I got a call from Ahmad Bradshaw. He was like, he wanted to ride with me. I know that him and Steve stay in the same complex. Steve Smith was just held up at gunpoint 3 or 4 days before that. That's why I went home and retrieved my weapon.
So having the weapon had nothing to do with thinking that you were in any kind of danger at the Latin Quarter?
It had nothing to do with New York City, me being in danger, anything like that. Because I knew that I had to pick Ahmad Bradshaw up. I knew I had to drop him off at home.
So if Ahmad Bradshaw didn't happen to live in the same complex with Steve Smith,
I never would have went home and got my gun.
At the time Burress shot himself, the Giants were 10-1. With Burress out of their lineup, they lost 3 of their last 5 regular season games. And in its first playoff game, New York was eliminated by Philadelphia. Do you think you cost the Giants a return trip to the Super Bowl?
That's tough. I really think we had a good team. I was saying that, I think maybe we had a little dynasty over there. We knew we were going back. We knew it back-to-back 2 times in a row. And I felt like I took it away from him, so to speak, a little bit.
Attempting to understand the psychology of an athlete once they leave the confines of structure and order can sometimes be a difficult task to comprehend, because some of the things they do can often escape our realm of comprehension. The level of fame, fortune, and notoriety that these athletes get from playing professional sports can often provide them with an enormous sense of entitlement that you and I could never experience on a regular basis. Only Plaxico Burress knows why exactly he brought a loaded weapon into such a public place and made such an idiotic decision, which cost him 2 years of his life. However, with that in mind, we live in a world based on the right of a second chance for all, just as long as the person who's violated the righteousness of society, is truly remorseful for their actions. Now it's time to pose that exact question to Burress, and we'll all be anxiously awaiting his answer. But only time will tell. Kevin McShann, Sports Beat, reports.